Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of the PG Perspective. It is I, producer guy Phil, because anyone else doing this show would be weird. So this week we're going to be talking about a very controversial topic that's been in gaming for the past little while, and that is virtual reality. You may have heard this, you have to have heard this obviously, as the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, or I guess the PlayStation VR. Now, this is a very interesting topic, okay? Because the main argument behind everything here is virtual reality a gimmick? See, I've been thinking about this for, I guess, a little bit like a while now, and it was hard to kind of just decide on what side of the fence I was on. I didn't want to be in the middle and be like, yeah, maybe it's a gimmick, but I don't know, it could be serious. I didn't want to be a fence sitter because, let's face it, in gaming you gotta have an opinion, you gotta have a voice, and you gotta speak up. So, is virtual reality a gimmick? Yes, I feel it's a gimmick, and I'll tell you why. Because, let's face it, in this day and age, is any gamer going to go out and pay a lot of money for these things? Let me just rattle this off for you. The PlayStation VR is going to cost you $400 American. I don't know if it's going to also transfer over to Canadian. So $400 American to start. The Oculus Rift is $599, so $600. And the HTC Vive is $800. $800 as just a starting point. And wow, I'm not made of money. I'm barely surviving in the Arcade Regiment household here. And that's a lot of money for a guy like me. And so going back now, is everyone going to be able to afford it? I don't think so, man. Unless you have a really good cushy paying job, it's probably out of the cards for even the PlayStation VR, okay? So you have to have a PS4 to process that. That's what, $399, $350 American, $400 Canadian just off the top, and then you got to pay another $400 to get it. And I guess to kind of get the monitoring around the room, you think you need the PS camera. That's another $50, man. These things add up over time. I just don't see it as the absolute future of video games, and that's always a big topic is, hey, what's next for gaming? You know, first it was like the PS4 and the Xbox Ones, and that's a whole different story for another day, is where does gaming go after this? I still feel it's a gimmick. I don't think it's gonna catch on everywhere, you know. Feel free to prove me wrong in the comments, but you know what? I'm gonna play devil's advocate to myself because, you know, I kind of want to cover at least both sides and still be on one side. So the great thing about virtual reality and the VRs is that it immerses you in the game. It gives you a completely different experience than you're used to before. Like, you can sit in front of your TV with the greatest graphics, with the greatest like games, but still there's just a level where you're still on your couch or bed or just playing a game. With virtual reality, you can tilt your head, you can look around, and you are fully immersed in the game. You truly feel like you're connected with it. That's a pretty awesome feature, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've seen some of the titles. I mean, Valkyrie looks pretty cool, and even Job Simulator, where you simulate a job, and some of us have jobs. You can pick up a coffee cup, that's pretty neat, I guess. But still, just think about it, that's still a pretty cool idea. Another thing that honestly hasn't been talked about, and I can understand why because it's not really gaming related, but I want to touch on it, is the different experiences these things can allow. One of the coolest things that I read is that some sports, I won't say franchises, but like sports companies, so maybe Major League Baseball, the NBA, NHL, are going to be setting up, I think in the future, VR booths to where you can, I guess, log into this site or whatever, and then you have your headset on, and I guess you can watch the game as it happens. As an avid hockey fan, I think that's pretty damn awesome. You know, sitting watching it is one thing. I got Game Center, so it's got a bunch of different angles, but actually having the experience of like looking, turning your head and watching the game in that perspective, pretty neat. But bringing it back to gaming now, so it kind of offers a completely unique experience. And you know what? That's a cool thing about VR. And a big issue again is, apart from having a PS4 to run these, you need a powerful PC to run the Vive or to run the Oculus Rift. And I'll tell you one thing, I do all my editing and stuff on a MacBook Pro from 2011. Is that going to be able to run it? I don't think so, or at least it won't be able to run it smoothly. So you're gonna have to have a pretty good, well-built PC, and that's not a pretty penny either. actually. Shout out to my buddy Crimson Clown here. I know he's building a pretty cool gaming rig, so maybe his PC will be able to provide it, but mine's definitely not going to do it. And another great thing too that I'm actually a fan of is the controllers. Now, I know that the Vive will be actually packaged in with its motion controllers, and the Oculus Rift will not. I think those are going to be coming separately. So I guess if you like factor in the prices with the Rift and controllers and package that together, I think it's going to be around the closest to the Vive. So in a way, you know what? No matter what your pick, doesn't look like you're saving money, and it's all about preference, honestly. But again, it's just having that computer and having the ability to process that. I don't know, man. It just, you know what? Maybe time will tell, and in a couple years, I'll just be completely wrong about this. I will be completely off. People can look back and be like, PGP, what were you thinking? And you know what? They may have the right to do that. But as of right now, I still think that there's just too much uncertainties about it. I think it's just too much of a gimmick, and it's not going to be in people's households. Do you guys remember the 3D TV? Obviously different case, but you know, not many people have that now. You know, and lacked that support HD DVDs, Blu-ray took over. I just don't see VR becoming the next big gaming thing of the future. You know what? Again, maybe I'm wrong. I don't see it. I don't see how it's going to be feasible in everyone's households, especially if you need a powerful computer to process it and the price points. I'm not going to be able to afford it for maybe next tax season, if I'm lucky. And that would mean everything would have to go to the Rift or to the Vive, or even if I want to go the cheap route into the PS4, all my money's going to have to go to that. I just don't think it's feasible right now. You know what? If you're for the Rift or the Vive, awesome, because you know what? It's going to deliver a sweet gaming experience if you can afford it. And truth be told, I played on the Oculus Rift, and it looked pretty damn cool. I'm not going to lie. It looked amazing. I still don't think it's feasible. We all have opinions, and that is my PG perspective.